Hello there and welcome to the Card Grotto. Today I've got a fun tag to share with you, dressing up a cactus for Halloween. So let's get started. My assignment this month for Hero Arts was to use the Cactus Fancy dies, and I love them as is. I think they make great plants, but I thought that it would be quite fun to kind of dress up the cactus. My initial idea was to dress up the cactus for Christmas, kind of like put a little sort of Santa hat on the cactus, but I wasn't sure if I had anything the right size. So as I was looking through my dies, I found that a lot of the Halloween elements would fit quite nicely size wise. So I'm taking the cactus die and I'm going to die cut that from Hero Arts Kiwi cardstock, and then I've got the bat here from the Halloween icons set, and I'm going to cut that from some pitch black cardstock, but I also know that I want some other elements cut from this cardstock as well. So I'm taking the hole reinforcer from the Hero Arts Tag Infinity die set, and then this is the Hero Lifestyle Trick or Treat set, and this is a really fun one that you can use to dress up different characters for Halloween. And so I thought instead of doing it on a person, I would do it on the cactus. So I'm taking the witch hat here and I'm going to cut that from the pitch black cardstock as well. So just holding all of those dies down with some low tack tape, and then I'm also going to cut the tag itself from Hero Arts Passion Flower cardstock. So just running those dies through the Hero Arts compact cutter. I love that they're all quite small, so they fit through this little die cutting machine quite easily. I'm then going to cut the witch hat another 2 times from some different paper. So this one here is black glitter paper. And then I'm also going to cut it from orange cardstock as well, so that I can kind of paper piece them together or do kind of like a little bit of die cut inlay. So that's the black glittery one. And then this is Hero Arts Papaya cardstock. I thought that I would make a tag today rather than a card. I think this would work quite well on a card as well, but I thought it would be quite cute to kind of do like a little Halloween tag that maybe would fit onto like a little treat bag or something. So just running that tag through there as well. And then I can add some ink blending onto the cactus. So I'm starting off with Hero Arts Fresh Lawn Core ink, and I'm using an ink blending brush here. This is a medium size, and I'm adding that ink towards the bottom of the cactus. I do think it would look quite nice just as is, but I do quite like having that kind of gradient ombre look. So it's going to be darker at the bottom and then fade up to lighter at the top, which is the colour of the cardstock. And then going in with a pine core ink, and this is a small ink blending brush, and I'm just adding that right towards the bottom of the cactus, and then kind of like what I'm thinking are her arms. They're not really obviously, but they kind of look like arms once I've kind of added the witch hat on top. I think it looks quite cute. So just adding that kind of like to the sides there. And I like those small blending brushes because you can really fit into those little areas. And then I'm taking Tangerine core ink, and I'm just going to add a little bit of this to the sides of the hat. I don't think it was really necessary to do this, but I thought it would just add a little bit of dimension onto it, make it look a little bit more rounded. So just adding that to the either side of this, and I'm just going to use that little band there in the centre for this piece here. I've then got the tag, and I'm going to add quite a lot of ink on top. So I'm starting off with Orchid core ink, and this is an extra large blending brush, and I love these brushes because they give such a smooth look to the ink blending. So I'm just mainly going around the outside edges here. This ink is pretty much going to get completely covered up, but I wanted there to be a transition colour between the colour of the cardstock and then the darker inks that I add on top. So I'm going around the outside edges and trying to leave the centre quite light. So I'm now going in with Amethyst core ink, again just around those edges. And I thought purple would work quite nicely. I mean, I happen to love purple anyway, but I do think it worked quite nicely, kind of like as a sort of night sky. I'm then going in with Grape Juice, and this is quite a lot more of a pink toned purple, so it is going to sort of change the colour a little bit, but it does darken it up quite nicely. So again, just going around the outside edges, and then I'm going to finish off with pitch black around the outside, and that's really going to darken that up nicely. And it doesn't necessarily look like it's black, but it does really darken up those purples. And I'm just using a smaller blending brush here. I think this is a medium size. I tend to go with the size of brush to what kind of application I'm doing, so I know that I don't want too much of this black, so I'm going for a smaller brush. I'm then just going to go back over that with the Amethyst ink just to really make sure that they're blended nicely, and you can see now that that highlight in the middle is quite light compared to what it was originally. I then want to add a little bit of interest onto the tag, so I'm going to add some splatter on top. So I've got a little piece of non-stick craft sheet here in my splat box, and I'm mixing the pitch black core inker. This is one of the re-inkers for an ink pad, but you could use it separately as well, like I'm doing here, and it's quite good to add some black splatter. So I'm mixing it with a little bit of water just to slacken it slightly. When it does mix with the water, it does go a little bit more of like a paste, so I'm just adding a little bit more water in, but I do want it to be quite thick because I didn't want to have too many kind of loose drops on top. I wanted them to be fairly small. So I've loaded up that brush with that inker, and then I can tap the brush to splatter that onto the tag. And I'm focusing most of the splatters towards the outside edges, but I do still want a few in the center. I wanted a few larger drops, so I'm just adding a little bit more onto the brush here, just again for some added interest. And then I'm taking the two-tone metallic spray. This is royal purple and gold. These are really fun sprays from Hero Arts. They're all two-toned, so there is a colour and then also a metallic, and this one is gold. And as I'm splattering this on here, especially at the top, you can see that gold really come to life against the dark background. So some of the splatters are going to read as purple and some of them are going to read as gold, and then quite often with the gold look there's kind of like an outline of purple around the outside edge, which is really quite nice as well. So it's a really fun spray to use, and obviously it works really well as a spray, but I'm just splattering it on here. I'm then going to assemble my pieces. So I've cut the cactus again from that Kiwi cardstock, and I'm using some Hero Arts precision glue here to stick them together. I wanted this to be 2 die cuts thick because I'm going to add it onto the tag with foam tape, and because of those kind of like score lines in the cactus, it has made the cardstock a little bit less stable, so I wanted it to be 2 layers thick. And then I'm going to do a little bit of kind of slight paper piecing, slight die cut inlay here. So I've got the hat that is just in the black cardstock, and I'm cutting the pieces apart from the other ones, the sparkly one at the top here, and I'm going to adhere that down on top, and I'm using that liquid glue again, so I've got that time to sort of wiggle it around in place. And then for the band I'm using the orange piece, and these kind of pieces are literally just attached by 2 little pieces of cardstock on either side, so they're really easy to cut apart. So just using the scissors there just to cut those pieces, and then I can add some glue onto the kind of base piece and then pop this one on top. And then I'm just going to do the same thing for the bottom of the hat as well, kind of like the rim of the hat. So I'm going to have that sparkly black as well. Just adding some more glue there, and then I can pop that on top. And now I've got my kind of custom witch hat here, sparkly with that orange band in the centre. For the sentiment, I'm using the Hero Arts Prayers Stamp and Cut set. This seems like a bit of an odd set to use for this Halloween tag, but I actually just want the sentiment to say "for you." Because I'm going for like a treat bag type thing here, I just wanted something quite simple, kind of like a generic sentiment rather than Happy Halloween. So I'm stamping that down onto some Hero Arts pitch black cardstock. I'm just going to prep the cardstock with an anti-static powder tool, remove the excess powder with a brush. And then because that sentiment is longer than I need it to be, I just want the "for you." I'm taking some post-it tape and I'm masking off the rest of the sentiment, and then I can ink up the sentiment using Hero Arts Clear Embossing and Watermark ink. This is a clear sticky ink so that when I add the embossing powder on top, it's going to stick to it. So just pressing that down onto the cardstock, and then I can apply some Hero Arts Detail White embossing powder. And then because the rest of that stamp was a little bit, I had used it before, I had cleaned it, but it didn't kind of stamp down perfectly, obviously, because there was no ink on it, but it just left a little bit of, I guess, a little bit of moisture or something, so that the embossing powder did stick to it a little bit. So I just removed that with a dry brush before I heat set that. I've cut another of the tags from that passion flower cardstock, and I'm just adding some tape runner onto the back of it so that I can kind of sandwich those back to back, and that not only is going to give me a little bit more stability to the tag, but it's also going to be nice and clean on the back for me to add a personal message if I want to. And I'm just adding that whole reinforcer piece at the top there, and then I've added some thin foam tape onto the back of the cactus, and then I can pop that down on the tag. And then for the witch hat, I'm using some kind of regular thickness of foam tape, and then I'm adding a little bit of that precision glue at the bottom where it's going to overhang the top of the cactus. And then I can just pop that down, and I'm just going to take a little time to figure out the best placement of the hat. I want it to be as low as possible without you being able to see the top of the cactus through the hat. So I can just pop that down, and actually I think it looks quite nice as is, but I am going to add some googly eyes on top as well a little bit later. I've then got the sentiment that I've cut into a strip and just popping that down with some foam tape on the left hand side. I'm then going to add some twine through the top of the tag. So just running that through the hole there, I can secure that at the front, and then I can tie that in a bow. And I did cut a little bit out of the video here because it did take me some time just to get the bow the right size and shape that I wanted it to be. Once I'm happy, I can just cut off the tails. I've then got the bat here, and I'm just manipulating it so that the wings stand up, so that I can just adhere it down on the back of the body piece with a little bit of glue. The only problem with lifting up the wings is that it's made the cardstock kind of crease a little bit, which isn't the end of the world at all. It doesn't look too bad, but to cover it up, I've cut another of the bats, and I'm going to adhere that on top. But what I'm going to do is just cover it with glue completely, and then when I pop it on top, it's just going to kind of form to the shape of the one below. So I haven't got the crease marks in it, but it's still got that dimension. So just making sure that they're lined up and really well stuck together. And then I'm taking some googly eyes, and I found some that are quite large, but I think they look quite cute. Popping those down with some more of the precision glue. And I think this takes the tag from more of like a spooky Halloween to a cute Halloween. I don't actually celebrate Halloween myself, but I do find it quite fun to create these sort of Halloween makes. And I really love all of that sparkle in the background from that spray as well. Links to the products that I used will be listed in the description bar on YouTube and also over on my blog. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you soon.